Okay, just imagine this for a second. What if you could control your computer with nothing but your thoughts? I mean, seriously, playing a video game, sending a text, moving a cursor around, just by thinking about it. Sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? Well, guess what? It's happening right now. Today, we're going to dive deep into Neuralink. You remember The Matrix, right? That iconic, kind of mind-bending scene where a plug goes directly into the back of someone's neck. For decades, that was just pure, unadulterated fantasy. But now, Elon Musk's Neuralink is actually turning that science fiction into a pretty startling reality. All right, so let's jump from the world of movies into the real world. Let's meet the very first person to actually live with this kind of tech inside their own head. This is Noland Arbaugh. And, after an accident, he was paralyzed from the neck down, which completely changed his life. But look at him here. He is playing a full game of chess on his laptop. And he's not using some special mouse or voice commands or anything like that. No, he is moving that cursor piece by piece, just by thinking. His own words to describe it, he says it's like using the Force. I mean, that is just an absolutely incredible thing to see. But how? How does it actually work? How in the world do you physically connect a human brain to a computer? Okay, let's break down the tech and the, frankly, unbelievably precise procedure that makes it all possible. So, how do you even perform a surgery this delicate? Well, the short answer is you don't. A human can't. Instead, you have to picture this robot surgeon with a hand steadier than any person could ever have. It maps the brain in 3D, making sure to avoid every single vein and artery. And then it acts like this impossibly advanced sewing machine, and it delicately weaves 64 microscopic threads right into the part of the brain that controls movement. It's truly a dance of incredible precision, something that, honestly, we used to think was impossible. Okay, so what is this thing really? At its heart, Neuralink is what's called a brain-computer interface, or BCI for short. Now, that's a pretty fancy term, but the idea behind it is actually simple and profound. It's all about creating a direct bridge between your biological brain and a digital device. It literally reads your brain's natural language and translates it for a computer. So, how does this tiny little chip actually read your mind? Well, it's pretty elegant when you get down to it. Let's say you just think about moving your hand. The moment you have that intention, specific neurons in your brain fire up, creating a tiny little electrical spark. The 1024 electrodes on those threads, they pick up those signals. Then the N1 chip takes over, translates that intent into binary code, the zeros and ones the computers understand, and then just zaps it over via Bluetooth to your laptop. It's thought translated into action almost instantly. Wild. Now, you should know Neuralink isn't the only company playing in this sandbox. But their whole approach is pretty unique because of how it tries to solve the really big challenges. You've got competitors like Synchron, who use a less invasive method that go through your blood vessels, but the trade-off is they lose a lot of precision. Then you have others like BlackRock, who get that high precision, but they use these rigid needles that can actually damage brain tissue over time. And get this, you need a clunky port sticking out of your head. So Neuralink's big bet is that it's super flexible, ultra-thin threads, combined with a device that's completely implanted and invisible, can deliver the holy grail, super high precision and long-term safety. That's the dream. So once you have this kind of technology, the potential, the applications are just staggering. And believe me, we are not just talking about playing video games here. We're talking about a future that could fundamentally redefine the very limits of the human body. Okay, first up, the immediate goals are basically medical miracles. Just think about it. Creating a neural bridge to bypass a spinal injury, allowing someone who is paralyzed to walk again. Or what about the Blind Sight project? The goal there is to feed data from a camera directly into the visual cortex to restore sight to the blind. I mean, wow. But the ambition goes way, way beyond that. We're talking about telepathic communication, storing your memories on a hard drive, maybe even downloading new skills, like in The Matrix. The possibilities are, they're as limitless as our imagination. Now, to try and bring this really radical technology back down to Earth, Elon Musk uses a pretty simple analogy, and it helps frame it not as some terrifying alien device, but more like the logical next step in the wearable tech we're all already pretty comfortable with, right? It's just taking that whole concept to its ultimate conclusion, inside our own heads. But, and you knew there was a but coming, with this kind of world-changing power, of course, comes immense risk. the potential for misuse is just as vast, if not more so, than the potential for good. And that brings us to the dystopian nightmare, the dark side of the chip. I mean, just stop and think about this for a second. What if your most private thoughts could be hacked, stolen, or even worse, altered? What happens when a corporation decides to throttle your implant's performance to make you upgrade, just like some people say they do with phones? And what about society? What happens when having an implant gives you a massive, undeniable advantage in the job market? Is it still a choice at that point? Or does it basically become a requirement just to compete? And look, we can't ignore the ethical price tag of this kind of innovation. According to reports, somewhere around 1,500 animals died during Neuralink's testing phase. That number, it's a really stark reminder of the difficult and often brutal trial and error that's required to develop something this radical. And this just brilliantly illustrates the most insidious risk of all. Just picture it. You're trying to remember one of your most cherished, sacred memories, maybe your child's first steps, and suddenly that memory is interrupted by a targeted, totally unskippable ad for a new car. It is the ultimate violation of our most private, inner space. There's nowhere left to hide. So where does this all leave us? Well, it all leads to one absolutely enormous question about the future of our entire species. Are we on the verge of becoming humanity 2.0? Because, let's be clear, this isn't just about fixing what's broken anymore. The ultimate vision here is about transcending our biological limits. It's a whole philosophy called transhumanism. This idea of merging humans with technology to create something more. And for someone like Elon Musk, this isn't some distant sci-fi dream. He sees it as an urgent necessity for our very survival. And this quote right here, this is basically the entire mission statement in a nutshell. Musk's core fear is that one day artificial intelligence is going to become so powerful that humanity will just be left in the dust. We'll be like ants to humans. So what's his solution? Well, if you can't beat them, join them. If you can't beat the super intelligent machines, you have to become one. And so that leaves us right here with the ultimate question. Is a chip in our brain just the next logical step in our evolution? Is it really any different from the invention of writing or the internet? Or by handing over the keys to our own consciousness, are we risking the very essence of what makes us human in the first place? That's the huge debate that Neuralink has cracked wide open. And it's a future we are all going to have to confront one way or another.